So now we just went through the suitability sheet. You either just called your manager or you looked at the actual cheat sheet to figure out what product it's gonna meet the client's needs, based on whether it's final expense or mortgage, or it's going to be just based on their health, right? And so now you called your manager. They said, hey, Americo Eagle Whole Life, and if it's for final expense, right, we're gonna want to show them probably 5, 10, 15,000. Now, if they're older, like John is here, who's 70, males who are 70 and older, it gets a little bit more expensive. So I'm not going to be showing them a bunch of insurance. We just want to take care of the need. If he wants to leave a little extra behind, he can, and we can always go more. But we don't want to show him too high, right? And so for this scenario, I would say I would show him now. Depending if he already told me if it was a cremation or a burial. If it's a burial, I at least want to show him 10, 15, and 20. If he told me he wants a cremation, just so you guys know, cremation is around 3,500 to 5,000 or so to cover that cost. Anything over 5,000 is just going to be extra money left behind for like a cremation, right? Burial is going to be anywhere between 10 to 15, really 15. 10 will cover a majority of it. 15 will definitely make sure everything's taken care of. Maybe leave a little bit behind. Anything over that's going to be extra money for the beneficiary. Okay, so for this scenario, right, we're going to be talking about, let's just say burial. Okay, he wants a burial. So I would tell, hey, show him 10,000, 15,000, and 20,000. Okay, so what you're going to do as soon as you hear that from the manager, awesome. You're going to start bringing up the quoter, right, that we already set up in the portal, right? So we're going to be going on here, going into it, and going on the portal. Now, from here, this can get a little bit not awkward, but you don't want a lot of dead space in between this time when you're like looking up the quotes and everything. That's why it's really important to have all that stuff ready so you're quick. But you're going to be going into it. And so you just got off the phone with the manager. They said, hey, do this. You said, okay, cool. All right, thank you. I was thinking the same thing. Awesome. Okay. All right, John. So I think we're going to be looking at and I'll even pull up the benefit sheet again. I'll go, all right, we're going to be looking with Americo. That's going to be the carrier we're going to be looking at today. And so just give me one moment. I'm going to take it here to the product and just make sure we can, see what options are available to you, right? And so I'm going to start pulling it up like I'm pulling up the quotes. And then what I'm doing right here is I'm doing a little bit of small talk. You're doing two things. You're making this a smooth process, making it look like you've done this before, and they're not just sitting there waiting there, like twiddling their thumbs, waiting for you to give them a quote. You're doing two things. So you're making it smooth, and what you're doing too is you're going to start releasing some of that sales pressure, right? You're going to get them feeling comfortable with you, okay? How do you do that? There's a few things that I do, okay? Number one, I talk about their beneficiary. They're older. They're like 70. They probably have grandkids. Awesome. While I'm pulling this up here, I'm just pulling it up. So, John, do you guys have any grandkids that live around here? I know you said Sarah's local here. Like, do you have grandkids around here? You just want to get them talking. Get them talking. And some clients are going to talk way more than others. Some you're going to have to pry it out a little bit more. But usually, if you're doing a good job, they'll just start talking. John's going to start telling you about, his grandkids, and they're doing soccer, and they're doing this. They're going to come over next weekend, this and that, and you're going to just talk with them. Awesome. Oh, that's really awesome. You're multitasking. You're talking to them about their beneficiary or their family is really the main thing that I'll be talking about while you're pulling up the quote. So I'm going to pull up. Okay. I'm actually pulling them up on my side here. So this is what it would look like. So awesome. So John, do you have like any grandkids? I know you said Sarah's around here. Oh, it's awesome. You got a few grandkids. Awesome. How old are they? Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. So you got one in high school. You got one in junior high. Gotcha. Okay. And are they, doing sports? Are they doing this? Okay, cool. Awesome. Just pulling it up here. Okay. You guys got any plans this weekend with them, or what do you guys normally do? I know it's getting pretty nice out, I'm just kind of small talking them, guys, and you're just making them feel comfortable and like making them know that you're a human also. You've been a professional this whole time now. You've done a lot of professional work so far, so you can start to open up a little bit with them, right? Don't become their friend yet. Not until we submit the application, but you can start to open up to them, let them know that you're a human, getting rid of some of that sales pressure. Okay, John, so perfect. Now, while you're doing that, you're going to start writing down the quotes while you're small talking with the client. You're going to go from the most expensive option at the top to the bottom. And this is on the benefit sheet. You're going to do this. You're going to write it on the back of the benefit sheet. So you take out the benefit sheet. You're saying, John, okay, awesome. So this is what it's looking like. And they're talking, right? Perfect. Oh, that's awesome. So are you guys from here? Did you grow up here? Or, I'll talk to him about his job. He said he worked at Boeing, right? So how long did you work at Boeing? What was your experience with that? What got you into going to Boeing? Did you serve in the military? Did you, I'm just talking to them about anything I can talk to them about. If I see a Seahawks thing on the wall or a sports team that they like, awesome, you're a big Seahawks fan. How do you feel about Russ leaving? I'll even say stuff like that just to get them talking. Whatever gets them going, you'll figure it out. Maybe they got motorcycle, Harleys. Maybe they got, you'll see different type of stuff. They got a lot of outdoorsman stuff. You guys like to go hunting, go fishing, whatever. You're just getting them to talk about whatever they like to talk about, period. Okay. And just use a little bit. You're in their house, right? You're going to see what's important to them that's hanging on their walls or whatever, right? So you'll just talk about that. So as you're going through that, you're going to be writing everything down here. Awesome. Okay, perfect. Almost finished up here. And so you guys got any plans going on for this weekend? Anything fun going on with the grandkiddos? Oh, yeah, perfect. Yeah, I love going to the beach. Yeah, it's one of my favorite things to do. Me and my family do that all the time. Blah, 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 right? You're going through it. Okay, cool. Now you got pretty much everything written up here. This shouldn't take you that long, guys. I'm like kind of multitasking here, right? But I'm trying to explain while I'm doing all this. Okay, perfect. So now this is how you're going to get the sale, guys, right here. This is really big. If you've done everything correct up until this point, you can fumble the whole sale right here if you don't do this correctly, or you can make this a really easy sale if you just do this the right way. Okay, guys, perfect. So now, John, before I flip it over, I'm actually kind of covering it while I'm writing it out. I don't really want them to see what I'm seeing. I'll even sometimes put my computer a little bit over here to be out of the way so that they're not even really seeing what I'm doing. I don't really want them to see the numbers yet, because they don't understand the value behind the numbers yet. So that's what you're going to do next, the value behind the numbers. Okay, it's not just a number. So then I tell John, okay, John, so I know you said you've done this before, but I just want to explain exactly how these programs work. Or, hey, John, I know you said you've never done this before, so I just want to make sure you understand exactly how these work. Okay, now these are the final expense benefits. These are the whole life benefits, right? And so what that means is going to be permanent coverage, right? Just means it's never going to expire on you. Okay. The benefit's going to be guaranteed to remain level. That just means your benefit's never going to go down. It's never going to go up. Whatever you're approved at with your health is what it's going to stay at. It's going to stay level. All right. Now, the premiums are guaranteed to remain level. That just means your price is never going to go up, right? This is really important for somebody who's like you, who's retired on a fixed income, right? Because if this thing goes up in price later on, something's got to be taken off the table, right? And we don't want to do that. This needs to factor into your budget that you're at today. Does that make sense? Perfect. Okay. Now this is going to pass on to the beneficiary of your choice, right? So you own the plan, John. So whoever you put on the contract, Sarah, right? She's going to be the one, the check's going to be directly in her name. It's going to avoid any probate or any court. People aren't going to be able to fight over the money, right? It's going to go directly to whoever's name is actually on the contract. You said Sarah, right? So it'll go directly to Sarah. Side note, guys, I'm talking about their beneficiary this whole time. From here, I'm talking about the beneficiary. I'm saying the beneficiary's name. I'm painting the picture so that the client can see exactly what it looks like to have this coverage, okay? Really important. It really brings it to life. Okay. Now the death benefit is going to be paid out tax-free. Basically what that means, Uncle Sam's not going to get his 20%, right? What this is going to do, if you get a $10,000 benefit, for example, the entire benefit is going to be going to Sarah, and she's not going to have to actually pay any taxes on that, right? She's going to receive that. No tax are going to be taken that. So she'll get a $10,000 check. Does that make sense? Now, if something happens in the case of an accident, it's going to double the amount that is going to be paid out to Sarah. Okay, so what that means is think about anything external happening to you, right? Car accident, right? God forbid, somebody attacks you, right? You fall. I mean, something, accidentally, not internally happens. It's going to double the amount that's going to be paid out to Sarah. Okay, so it's going to be, if you had a $10,000 benefit of natural causes, it's going to double to $20,000 in the case of an accident. Okay, does that make sense? Awesome. Now, the last few things here, living benefits. What a lot of people really like about these, John, is that if something was to happen to you and where your doctor says, hey, you only have 24 months to live, or 12 months to live, right? You get diagnosed with some sort of terminal illness. You don't have to actually wait to pass away to receive the funds. You can actually take that doctor's note and send it to Americo. And what they do is they're actually going to send you a check. It's the accelerated benefit rider. They're going to send you a check with all the benefits so that, you know, you and Sarah can get all the final expenses stuff taken care of. You can get everything taken care of. So it's peace of mind. You know, everything's taken care of. You don't have to actually wait to pass away to receive the benefits. So in other words, John, if the doctor says you're pretty sick, you know, you have a pretty major illness, the insurance company is not going to hold the money from you. Does that make sense? Okay, perfect. Now, last two things here, John. It builds cash value. So a percentage of what you're putting in every single month is going to be going to a little savings account with interest. Now, this isn't going to be something that you're going to be, you know, getting rich off of or anything like that. Think about this as like a little emergency savings account you have access to, you know, on a bad day, something happens, you haven't got your check yet, the tire pops, you got to get out of town, right? This is like an emergency fund, right? So you're not going to get rich, but just know they're putting a little something aside for you every single month. You're contributing to the plan, okay? Now, the last thing, John, which is probably the most important out of everything we talked about, is that it's immediately effective if you are approved for the coverage, all right? What that means is, let's say you were approved last week, John. Something happened to you yesterday. Sarah would receive the entire benefit amount even if you just paid one payment or contributed one payment into the plan, okay? Does that make sense? Okay, so there's no waiting periods, no 2-year waiting periods, no 90-day elimination period, nothing like that. As soon as you're approved, you're covered and the final expenses are taken care of, guaranteed, okay? Awesome. Now, with that being said, John, these are the different options. This is kind of just like an illustration of what is, you know, available to you at your specific age and health, okay? Now, pause. What I'm doing here is I have it in 3 columns, guys. You can kind of see this. My handwriting's terrible, but this is the natural causes, right? 20, 15, 10. This middle column is the accidental, so it's just double this number. And then here's the monthly premium associated with that, okay? Now, like I said, if we know he wants to get a burial and you know it costs $10,000 to $15,000 to cover the cost of burial, that's what we're going to be talking about here, right? So we're going to explain what these numbers means. It's not just a number. It's not just a $10,000 check. What is that $10,000 going to do for Sarah and your family? Okay, that's what we're going to be talking about next, right? So now, John, for the top one here, this is going to be a $20,000 benefit, okay? This is going to double to $40,000 in the case of an accident. Now, what this $20,000 will do, right, this is going to make sure that all of the final expenses, all the burial costs are covered, right? Sarah's definitely not going to have to come out of pocket for anything. She's probably going to get like, you know, $5,000 to $10,000, you know, extra money left behind after, you know, paying for the final expense costs. Okay. So with that being said, this is going to take care of the burial costs and leave her a little bit of extra money behind. Okay. Now down here, this is going to be the $15,000 option, $30,000 in the case of an accident. 15,000 is definitely going to make sure the burial is covered, right? The burial is going to be covered and she's not going to have to come out of pocket. Now, it probably won't leave her really much behind, but what it's going to do is definitely make sure that the burial is taken care of. You're not going to leave any burden on her, right? Which is kind of the main goal of what it sounded like we were talking about here. And that one's going to be for 127. Obviously, if something happens in an accident, right, she's going to, you know, have 15,000 in extra funds, you know what I mean, to do for whatever, for her family, for your grandkids, whatever it might be. And then the last thing down here, John, this is the starter option. This is for a $10,000 benefit, double to $20,000 in the case of an accident. That's for $86 for the monthly premium. So this $10,000, this is going to cover majority costs of the burial, depending on what you guys do for the final expenses. You know, you can do the fancy stuff, you can do the not so fancy stuff, whatever it might look like. $10,000 is going to cover the majority of it. She probably won't have to come too much out of pocket. She may have to come a little bit out of pocket, but this is, I mean, hey, 10,000 is a lot better than zero, right? And so, that's what you'd be looking at. Now, if something happened in an accident, everything would be taken care of, and you'd probably still leave her, you know, about 5,000 left over. Okay. Now, so that's me explaining the benefits to the client. Okay. Now we're explaining the benefits. Now, the last thing we're going to do, guys, is we're going to close. We're going to wrap it up. Now, sometimes clients aren't going to say anything. They're just going to, you know, and I give it to them, right? And so, you know, take a look at that. Sometimes clients are going to just look at it. They might not say anything. Sometimes clients right away are going to go, I want 15,000, right? They're going to say, this is what I want, right? And so if they don't just pick one right there, right? Which sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. They're going to look at it for a second. This is the closing question I always ask. Okay. And so, John, Now, this is just an illustration. We can do more or less or in between any of these numbers, but based on what you said, this is what, would solve the problem of taking care of the final expense costs for Sarah. Now, based on your current situation, John, which one of these makes the most sense for your current situation? Boom. You're going to ask them, right? They're going to say, well, 10,000, is, good. 15,000, I want to make sure, I just don't want to leave a burden. 15,000 will definitely cover it. Yep. Okay, cool. We'll do the 15,000. Awesome, John. So, all right. So now what I can do from here is I'll send over a request to the carrier just to make sure we can get you medically approved. Okay. Now from there, I'm going to star it. And now that we know we're going with that one, I'm going to start on the paper. I'm going to get it down here and I'm going to open up the e-application. Okay. The very first question I'm going to ask them for closing, right? Let's just say he picks one. I'm going to go straight to the e-application. And then what I'm going to do from there is I'm just going to ask, is this where you want the document sent to, this address here? Is this the best place to send those documents? They're going to ask for the address on the application, right? So that's just a good way to say you're pre-closing them. You're saying, hey, if you can get approved for the plan, is this where you want the document sent to? Yes. They're basically saying, I'm going to buy the insurance from you, is what they're saying, right? Okay, cool. Then you're going to fill the app out and you're going to send it off, right? Now, let's just say they have a couple of rebuttals. Maybe they got a couple questions. A lot of common questions you're going to get. Well, can I up this later? Can I increase this later? Because, I really want to do the 20, but right now 15 kind of just makes more sense for my situation. And the answer is, yeah, as long as you don't have any medical changes, John, between now and when you want to apply to increase your coverage, no, we should be able to get you approved as long as you can actually get approved today. Like I said, we don't know if you're actually approved yet. That's why we have to send a request to make sure you're medically approved for the plan. Okay, cool. That's the answer to that. Maybe they say, I need to think about it, or I need to talk to my spouse, or I need to do whatever. They don't want to do it right now at this current situation. Now, or maybe they'll say, they may be saying that because they just don't want to pay today, right? Like I said before in some of the other videos, sometimes clients will just throw a smokescreen at you where actually they do want it, but they just can't pay for it today, right? And so this is what I would say. They say, well, I want to think about it, make sure what's going to be best. Okay, John, I totally understand that. Makes sense. You do want to think about it. Right now, we don't even know if you're qualified for the coverage. Like I said, my job is just to send a request to even make sure you can qualify for the coverage. Once you're actually medically approved for the plan, it's not like, they're not going to take the money from your account as soon as you are approved. You can actually set it up to whenever you want the plan to start. We can start the plan at that time. But right now, I don't want you to go home and think about this and then you guys decide you want to do the $20,000 option, right? And then I go to apply and then we just, wasted a bunch of time because you're not even approved yet. So what we can do today is we can just send a request to get you medically approved. And then at that point, we'll know if you're approved and you'll get the policy documents in the mail. If you want to make any changes in the first 30 days, it's really easy. Like I said, we just have to make sure you're actually medically approved for the plan, okay? Gotcha. And so do you want the document sent to this address if you're approved? Yep. Boom. You're back in the application, right? You're basically just letting them know most of the rebuttals, right? If you do get one at this point, it's just they either don't want to pay today or they need to think about it, talk to their spouse. Great. I understand you need to talk with them, right? Neutralizing it and then just saying, we don't even know if you're approved, so there's really nothing to talk about, right? And so that's kind of the main thing that you're saying there. Other than that, guys, I think that's kind of the main things that we wanted to go over as far as for like building the value. Guys, if you build the value correctly, you did everything correctly up to this point and you present that, which option makes the most sense for you in your current situation? They're going to see the value. It's painted the picture. They understand what they're doing. They're going to pick one, right? And you're going to send it over and you're going to get them approved. So, yeah, that's going to be the section on building the value. I think on this last, building the value and closing, I think this last section is we're going to be doing a couple rebuttals in the application, the e-app. And I think we're going to talk a little bit about pivoting and just making sure we can actually make sure the business gets put on the books. So I'll see you guys in the next one.